Next, we will do the create or insert. First, we will add an A tag with a button before the table. And inside the href of that A tag will be the base URL, which points to the student class or the student controller, then the add record method. Okay, let's open this. And where did I put that? It's after the card body. So we can also copy a button from the template. But let me first pause the recording and type in the A tag. Oh, sorry, I haven't noticed that I have my camera on. So this is the content of the for each loop. And let's now add an A tag. Let me first pause. So I now have here the button. Yeah, let me just open the browser, refresh. It's still not showing. Oh, the button is now here, but it doesn't point to anything. So inside the href, let's echo base URL. Then we will be calling the student controller and add record method. So save. But for we still do not have an add record method. So let's go to the controller here and create an add record method. So save, refresh, and but it's not showing anything. So let's copy this one. But instead of showing the table, let's remove this first. Save, refresh. So now we have a blank template. Okay, next. So we already have the button. Then we will create the add record function. We already did that, but we still haven't created the add record view. So let's change this add record, save. But if we go back, it's not showing the add record because the add record inside the student is non-existent yet. Okay, so let's just copy index.php, copy, paste, and rename this to add record. And let's remove table. And instead of add student, let's create a return button. So return. So if this button is clicked, we will go back to the student controller and change the icon to arrow. Sorry, arrow left. Save. And refresh. Okay, so if we click the add student button, we'll be redirected to the add record method. Then the add record has a return button, which will go back to the data table. Okay, next. Okay, I have also changed this from primary to warning, so that it has different color. Okay, next. And let's now create a form inside the add record view. And when this form is submitted, it posts data. It posts form data and calls the add record method in the student controller. So let's create a form. After the button, let's do form open, then student controller, and the add record method. Then close the form. Okay, then add another button. This one. This will be the submit. So instead of an h tag, let's do add a button. Okay, remove href. Oops. Primary. Okay, let's remove this. What did I do? Add student. And instead of arrow left it's plus. Okay, refresh. Oops. Oh, I do not have a semicolon here. If you want to see the error, let's go to the root folder, then look for the env file. So let's rename this first. It should have a dot before the env file. Then change the CodeIgniter environment from production to development. And remove the comment, refresh, and now we have now we can see the error. So the problem is call to undefined function student. It's not undefined. It's add student, then add record. Okay. Let's try to add visual. Call to undefined function form open. Okay, I think I have to add a library. Okay, let's next. But it's not showing. Oh, the PowerPoint lacks the, wait, let me pause. Doesn't have the form helper. So we will add the helper in the base controller. Then let's add helper. Okay, so the helper are URL and form. Save, refresh, still nothing. I'm adding URL and form helper. Try here, URL and form. So this one. Okay, now fix the problem. Okay, that takes too long. And the add student button redirects back to the add record method. Okay, next. And then we now add form elements. You can copy form elements from the, okay, here. So open register, Visual Studio Code, then look for input files. Okay. Right, let's copy this one and go back to add record. Then add this. We have first name, middle name, last name. It's let's add an ID and a name. Then a value, a blank value for the middle name, then the last name. TXTFMN, TXTLN. Okay, last name, middle name. Oops. Then for a 12, total should be 12. Next is, oops, the select for the sex and date of birth. Okay, for the date of birth, then placeholder is date of birth. But since this one is not a date input, let's add a format. So year, month, and date. Then this one will be a select. So select. Oops. Class name. What did I? CV6 and option. So two options. Option. Where did you go there? Okay, option. The first value is blank. So value blank, selected, disabled. Select sex. Then next one is for male and 0 for female. Okay, the form elements are now complete. Let's refresh. Now we have the first name, middle name, last name, sex, and date of birth. So why does that? Oh, this one should be false or black. Okay, now it's now black. Okay, after adding the form elements, okay, it's now done. We now add the following codes in the add record method in the student controller. So this is the form validation. We can look at, we can check the form validations here. Search form validation. Validation. Form helper. It's not in form helper. It's in, check the URL. Libraries, then validation. What happened? Library and validation. So here are the documentation for the form validation. Okay, let's go back to the editor. So in student, add record, we'll add the form validation here. I have here already one, so let me just look for it and copy the validation. But first, we will check if the user is posting any data. Because if the user is not posting any data, then we will not validate anything. If a user is posting a data, that means that the user have clicked the button. But if not, we are just opening the form. So let's now do the validation. Here are the rules. These are the ID, the ID of the, oh, I forgot the student number. The student number, it's 12, then student number, the ID should be txtsn. So that one. Now, these are now the validation, the validation for on the CodeIgniter side. So the text, the student number is required, the first name is required, the minimum length is 3, maximum length is 20. So you can add whatever validation you want. Then after checking the validation, so if validate, so if valid, we'll do, we will now call the model, then insert this data in our database. But if not, we will return the errors. Okay, let's return the errors, then pass that errors in the add record view. Okay, but we are still not, okay, get errors, nation, then, okay, then after clicking add student, the controller returns an error, but we cannot see it yet. So let's print the error in add record. So here, right before the form open, we will print the errors that we have passed in the associative array, name data, and the key is validation. So let's look through that error. Just open that here. So okay, but first it checks if if validation is set, and validation is only set if there are errors in the form. So let's try that. So if you just go to the add record, it is not showing the errors. But if you click add student, then it shows the errors, the form validation errors. So this means that student number field is required. These rules are validated. Then, if all of these rules are not met, it will return an error. Then store that error in the associative array with the key validation. Then print those errors. If that validation key is set, then print those errors. If not, that means that we have just visited add record. But if we click the button, the validation will be triggered, meaning that we have posted. When we click the button, we are posting. If not, we are not posting. So it will not go inside this if statement. Then if the validations are met, if all validation rules are met, we now call the insert student record function of the model and redirect to the index if all the student, if add student is success. So here, inside the if validation, let me just copy the code. So now we are getting the values from the view. So this is the ID, text.sn, this one, text.sn, text.fn, and so on. Then we store that in an array. Next, we call the student model. Student, let's copy this one. And the method name is insert student record. Then the value is post data. Store the result in res or result. Then if the result is 1, meaning that the data was inserted successfully, we will redirect to the student controller. But we still do not have the insert student record method inside the student method model. Okay, next. So let's now create an insert student record inside the function of the model. So let's open the model, create a new function named insert student record, which accepts a data. Then code builder, same table name, but instead of getting a data, we will insert data. Okay, that means that if the user inputs are validated, we will save those data in an array, then call the insert student record. Then insert student record, we will insert those data in the database. Then here, if insert is successful, result will be 1, and we will be redirected back to the data table. So let's try. So here it is now. We now have successfully inserted in the database. So that's for part 1.